Before speech bubbles, one caveman turned cave walls into hilarious, dramatic comic strips. Long before paper, ink, or speech bubbles existed, humans expressed themselves through the only medium available: stone walls. Cavemen etched animals, hunts, and daily life onto cave surfaces, creating vivid snapshots of existence. Yet, one imaginative individual named Sorka saw potential beyond mere documentation. She envisioned a way to tell stories in sequence, combining images to create narratives, essentially inventing the first prehistoric comics. Sorka was always observant. She noticed how the tribe reacted to simple images. A depiction of a mammoth hunt would elicit excitement. A drawing of a river crossing would generate concern. And a crude sketch of a falling villager would produce laughter. Inspired, she began experimenting. She drew multiple scenes in a row: hunters tracking a mammoth, throwing spears, celebrating the catch. Villagers immediately grasped the sequence, their grunts and gestures filling in the story's emotion. The idea caught on quickly. Soon, Sorka was drawing entire adventures along cave walls. One sequence depicted a day in the life of a clumsy hunter, tripping over rocks, being chased by a wild boar, and finally winning the admiration of the tribe. Another showed a mischievous child stealing berries, only to be comically scolded by elders. The images were simple, but packed with humor, drama, and suspense. Villagers would gather around, following the action from left to right, or more accurately, from where Sorka began and down the wall. Her innovation transformed the caves into social centers. Gatherings around these story walls became common, with villagers reading the visual tales aloud with gestures, laughter, and exaggeration. The oldest members praised Sorka's talent, while children attempted their own sequential drawings, often producing hilariously chaotic versions of events. Even the shaman got involved, creating mystical panels of stars, spirits, and animals and heroic poses. Competition emerged naturally. Other artists tried to one-up Sorka, drawing larger sequences, more detailed mammoths, and elaborate slapstick moments. Soon, cave walls were filled with narratives ranging from heroic hunts to ridiculous misunderstandings. Prehistoric soap operas in stone. Villagers began trading advice on composition, exaggeration, and timing, essentially forming the first comic workshops. The storytelling evolved further. Symbols were added to indicate sound: scratching marks for grunts, wavy lines for running, and dotted arcs for thrown spears. Villagers laughed harder when they read the action, realizing that illustration could convey emotion and timing just as much as words or grunts. Humor, drama, and suspense were all captured on stone long before written language emerged. Yet, as with all innovations, chaos followed. Some sequences were misunderstood, sparking arguments over the interpretation of events. Rivalries grew, with villagers trying to outdo one another with exaggerated antics. Once, a depiction of a shamelessly greedy hunter caused a real confrontation, proving that even comic exaggeration could stir emotions. Despite this, the sequence storytelling thrived. Villagers loved following tales that combined adventure, humor, and life lessons. Sorka's legacy extended far beyond her cave. Future generations adopted her technique, creating longer stories and more intricate sequences. Archaeologists would one day uncover the walls, puzzled by the arrangement of figures and actions. They would recognize the images as storytelling, yet never fully grasp the humor, drama, and ingenuity behind the first comic panels. What Sorka had created was more than art. It was laughter, suspense, and human connection etched into stone. And so the first prehistoric comics were born, not with pens, paper, or speech bubbles, but with vision, creativity, and the timeless desire to entertain and connect.